Okay, we're going to do a very brief review of trigonometry. So we have a circle here. Here is its center. We are going to cut the circle in half twice. So this guy right here, we call the horizontal diameter. And this one is the vertical diameter. Vertical diameter. Okay, let's look at a point that has this special property. If this guy is 1, 0, hopefully you would agree that this x value is halfway to the right. So this point that I'm talking about has a special property. It is halfway to the right. Maybe we can say it is 50% to the right. How far from the top is it? If you had to give a good guess, I don't know, something like 80%? This is kind of our guess. Well, those guesses that we've made are guesses for the values of cosine and sine of this angle. That angle. And so we can write down a meaning for each of these functions. So we have that cosine takes an angle measure as its input, and it spits out how far to the right, this point is. Cosine tells me how far to the right. The distance to the right of the vertical diameter. Sine is a function that takes in an angle measure, and it tells me how far above the horizontal diameter my point is. Sine tells me the distance above the horizontal diameter. So looking back at this diagram, we see here that we have this green ray. This one is the initial ray. This one is the terminal ray. So we talked about this in class. The slope of the terminal ray is the change in y divided by change in x. We know from the diagram that the change in y is the sine, and that the change in x is the cosine. So the slope of the terminal ray is the tangent of the angle. So we have here our third function, tangent, which inputs an angle measure and spits out the slope of the terminal ray. So we could even approximate this tangent right here. Tangent of this angle is something like, oh, I don't know, maybe like 1.5, something like that, bigger than 1, because the ray that has a slope of 1 would be over here along the line y equals x. And so that's a little bit more than 1. Okay, so the big idea here is understanding the meanings behind sine, cosine, and tangent as functions, because what we're about to do is think about the inverse functions. So going in the other direction would be a function called sine inverse.